What's up, everyone? It's Connor.
Why did you say it's?
It's Connor.
I'm Ridge.
And it's the groove. Welcome to the groove. This is Connor.
This is Ridge.
And this is the groove.
Anyways, let's get into our song.
Let's get into our song. So today,
this
is a track that actually, I remember my first listen to through the album, and it was like I was saying, during the first track, I was on my way home from Southern, and I even like parked outside of my apartment, didn't even go in right away. And this was the last track that I listened to before I went in. But this is the track that actually hit me the hardest.
This is my favorite track on the album.
Is it?
Yeah.
This was my favorite track. My favorite track is actually later now, but this is a track that, I don't know, like, it was just like, boom.
Yeah, dude.
Like, and something about this track is it doesn't actually have any sort of positivity.
No, not at all.
At all.
Like what we discovered in track 2 and track 3, there was this sense of duality between darkness and light, both sonically and in its content. But backwards, track 4 literally is darkness throughout.
Darkness throughout.
Which is so cool.
It starts out kind of like with this little...
Dude, yeah. When I first heard this track, when I first heard the saxophones, I think they're saxophones.
The saxophones, I'm
right?
pretty sure.
When I heard the saxophones, I was like, oh. But then when the beat dropped,
I was like,
oh. Dude, I was I think I was in an airport when I heard this. And so I was bopping to it. I was like, it was so good. But it's such a different type of song. And I think as a Christian song, it is so, yes, it's a Christian song. But just as a song in general, it is so well made, but it is so honest at the same time. Like, if I were to summarize this entire song in one word, that word would be apathy. Like, I don't care.
Apathy and completely just looking at how well you're performing.
Right. Just entirely, just keep doing what you're doing, even though it's insanity in a sense, kind of doing the same thing, expecting different results.
It's like nothing's working. The more I try, the farther I fall from like the place I'm trying to get.
Right. And it's like, I don't care, even though I'm getting further. Like when you read the first lines of the song, struck out on my quest. Like he already knows that he struck out.
He's like, I'm committed to do everything that is right.
Right. And he says, turned around and took 2 steps backwards. Right. Like the idea of turning around and taking 2 steps backwards, you're still moving forward, but you're not allowing yourself to see what's ahead of you. You're only looking at where you've been. And that idea in apathy, or this idea in insanity, is it's so real. Like, when you're not willing to see what's in front of you, when you're not willing to see who God actually says you are, you're bound to just focus on yourself. Yeah. You know, you're bound to focus on what you've done in the past, to not forgive yourself, to not live in this reality of God's love and God's grace. Yeah. Then you're moving forward, but you're not moving forward.
Yeah.
You know?
Because what you see to be progress and moving forward, like, accounts to nothing. Right. Simply because what you're working for is in reality already true about you because God says it's true.
Wow. And this song even furthers the point of chasing your emotions, right? Because Zeal is trying to chase this childlike faith, and Zeal thinks that chasing this childlike faith is chasing that sense of awe and that sense of wonder. But really, instead of chasing God, like what he was saying in what he was saying in track 3, when he's asking yourself, who is the God that you've been chasing? He reveals it in track 4. Like, he's straight up honest. He says, heart outside of my chest, surfing my emotion led backwards.
Dang.
Like, he's literally saying my heart's outside my chest, as in he's only following his heart.
He's only following emotion.
Correct.
Right. And I think this is something I want to say is, like, emotions aren't bad.
No, yeah.
But I would say that his issue is that, like, he's solely basing everything based off of his emotions. Right. Because I think when I received the truth of who I was and received the gospel, I remember I had never felt peace like that in my entire life. Like to the point where I felt like I was floating, and I was like, it was like my body like was warm. Like it was like a fluster feeling, I guess you could say. And so like when I received the truth of who I was, I had a huge like emotional experience.
Right.
But it wasn't from me chasing after it.
Right.
And what Zeal's trying to do, he's trying to chase after only the emotions.
Right. Dude, that is so real. Cause like I went to this camp when I was in high school, where it was like a Bible camp that happened during a weekend. And I remember like when we were singing these songs and everyone was crying in the room, in the auditorium.
Yeah.
And that was one of the first moments where I emotionally felt God. And so little did I know that, I always thought that God was this emotion that I should chase, not this ever-present being that's always been there no matter how I feel.
Right.
And when I listened to this song backwards, I was so moved, because I'm like, wow, like he's actually putting words to something that I've been experiencing, something that I haven't been able to put words to myself.
Right.
Where he says, bitter never breaking bread. I felt so bitter whenever I tried to read my Bible or tried to pray or tried to sing and didn't feel that same feeling that I felt at that Bible camp.
Right.
And so because I didn't feel it, like I got bitter. And because I got bitter, I never decided to go back to God's word.
And it just, and the negative thoughts just kept permeating.
Right.
And like meditating and digging deep roots into like who I was.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you too.
Yeah.
And like he says, bitter never breaking bread backwards.
I'm sick and tired of losing track. You want to talk about that?
Ooh, yeah. So where's that at? Let me see.
Where it says, I'm sick and tired of losing track. Right after living like I'm still not blessed.
Yeah. Oh.
That's a good one too.
Yeah, so he's like,
oh dude, this song, there's so much we can get into in this song.
So living like I'm still not blessed and sick and tired of losing track. Keep stacking sticks to pave the path.
Yeah.
Like I remember when I came to the end of myself, man. Like I really did. And I think that's what Zeal is about, is coming to the end of self, dying so that I could now become alive.
Wow.
Which is a metamorphosis and that's like what the Bible talks about, is like this rebirth, and to the only way to live is to die. And so like I remember coming to the end of myself, and I was like, I'm so sick and tired of losing track on how many times I messed up this week.
Wow, apathy.
Yeah. I'm sick and tired of like taking these sticks, which are like basically my own doing,
right,
and paving a path for myself.
Wow.
When like Jesus is the way, the
dude,
truth, and the life.
About that. That's powerful.
And so I remember coming to the end of myself, I'm like, I'm so tired of doing this on my own. Except I'm the one that's bitter,
right,
and not even breaking bread.
Wow. That's so real, dude.
Yeah.
That's so real.
And then he moves on at the end of the song. He's like, bitter never breaking. Wait, no, we already said that. It says, I don't break bread, I just regret
dude,
instead.
It's like his anger is so evident in this song. Like where he says, I take the wine and leave the bread. Like where he even takes the Eucharist, right? The blood of Jesus and the bread that represents his body. He says, you know what? Like, I don't want anything to do with it, but I'm going to take this wine that puts me in this state of drunkenness and really masks what I'm actually feeling.
Yeah.
Like the idea of using wine and taking that to kind of suppress my anger, my apathy. Right. Like he's even using means like alcohol, or I don't know, something that we use to medicate ourselves and to numb ourselves,
right?
To kind of shun the truth of what God is trying to show us.
So to me, what that represents is anything that's vanity, that's numbing him, anything that's emptiness that he's chasing after and using to numb himself from the reality, because what he's believing are lies, and because he's believing lies, he's acting according to what he believes.
Wow.
And because he believes he's the villain in the story, because he sees that he's not performing to the perfection that he thinks the expectations are on him, like he's actually now seeking self-medication.
Wow.
In different forms, whether that's addiction,
right,
whether that's
self-righteousness,
whether that's like trying to like, I don't know, what are some practical ways, like being popular,
right,
like seeking the approval of other people,
right,
you get that rush,
living for the likes,
whatever. Like it's this addictive attitude of like self-medication because you're trying to mask this emptiness, and because you have this emptying feeling, like you're chasing after things that are empty, and it's never bringing you the true fulfillment that you want.
Right.
And that's what Zeal is like.
Dude, this is such a crazy song. Like, like you will never hear another song like this in Christianity.
And
you know?
dude, what I just thought of. Oh my goodness. So where he says, "I don't break bread, I just regret" at the end of the song.
Oh, dude.
Okay. So like,
did you notice that he whispers it first?
Yeah. I don't break bread, I just regret instead.
Yeah, dude. Like this idea of whispering, like you only whisper secrets.
Yeah.
Like you whisper things that you don't want other people to know. And so at first he's like, I don't break bread, I just regret.
Right, because he's ashamed about it.
Right.
But then like he's just like, screw it. He's come to so far to the end of himself that he's like, I don't know what else to do.
Right.
Like I'm just gonna yell it out because I don't know how to fix this.
Right.
And so, but this is the thing, dude. Like he's saying, I don't break bread, I just regret. When I think about breaking bread, think about the symbolism of breaking bread, bro.
Wow.
That's Jesus's body broken for Zeal.
Wow.
The character.
Oh, whoa.
The very body of Jesus was broken for the iniquities and transgressions
of Zeal himself.
Wow. And he's not believing that that's what's real for him.
Wow.
Because he's focusing on his feelings that he keeps chasing. And because he feels empty, he's chasing all these empty things, which because he's chasing these empty things, he acts according to those beliefs, those lies. And so what actually is being stacked up against him in his sight is all these things, and Satan is using those things to accuse him. And so he falls deeper and deeper and deeper into this self-despair.
Wow.
And he's focusing on self to get him out of this. And that's why he's actually going deeper into this despair, because it's about him. But really, he's not breaking the bread. AKA putting on Christ and actually receiving the truth about who he is.
Wow.
And that what is actually reality is that Christ, his body was beaten, broken for our transgressions and our iniquities, so that forgiveness is the reality that we now get to live from.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Dude, I have nothing else to say.
And so it doesn't even end on a happy note.
No.
But the one thing that keeps me when I'm having like a negative thought, when the outside tries to get in, because we don't fight flesh and blood, but against the principalities. And so when the outside tries to get in and speak lies over my life, what I do is I put on the armor of God.
Wow.
I take those thoughts captive to Christ's obedience. And what did he do? His body was broken so that I could receive the redemption and the forgiveness that I now live in. And from that place, I actually now realize who I am. And I don't let the lies of the enemy and my mistakes now be my identifying factor of who I am.
Right. You don't allow your negative scripts to run rampant in your life anymore.
Right. And so when we have those negative thoughts of like, you're this because you did this, or like, you'll never be worth it, you're not pretty enough, you're not strong enough, you're not good enough, you're not whatever, fill in the blank. Those are the very thing that Satan wants us to live through, because when we believe, we act according.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. Dude, I'm feeling myself right now to be like, I'm like confronted with this truth, and like allowing myself to be like, whoa, like that is so powerful.
Yeah.
And I think that's so healing for a lot of people.
And I think, but like what's so healing about what Zeal is doing is he's confessing the fact that he's not even breaking bread.
Yeah.
And so I feel like this is like the song where he's just really come to the end of himself.
Yeah.
And then the next song,
yep,
we start to see a different picture.
Yep. And so if you want to see that next, join us for our next episode of The Groove.